In 1571, a great battle took place in Catholic history against the Turkish Ottoman Empire. This would be known as the Battle of Lepanto, later being called Our Lady of Victory. In 1566, Selim II became Sultan. He was the great-grandson of Suleiman the Magnificent, who previously tried to invade and conquer Rome. He was defeated at the Great Siege of Malta under the leadership of Jean Parisot de Valette, the Grand Master of the Sovereign Military Order of St. John. Selim, however, wanted to reinforce his great-grandfather's Islamic plans and destroy Christianity. In 1570, he conquered the island of Cyprus, raided the Venetian islands in the Adriatic, and in early 1571 came closer toward Rome in the fulfillment of his great-grandfather's desires. Saint Pope Pius V called for the assembly of an army, a Holy League. As a devout Dominican of the Dominican order, he called on all Christians to pray the rosary while he gathered this army. Unfortunately, his call for aid was ignored. Germany, France, and England were caught up in Protestantism and offered no help to the Pope. Along with many other countries in Europe, none contributed to wanting to end the Islamic takeover. The couple of countries that did come to help were Spain and Venice. King Philip II of Spain agreed to send troops, ships, and his half-brother Don Juan of Austria to command the fleet. He was a devout Catholic and loved the Blessed Mother. Before the battle with the enemy, Don Juan gave strict orders that all blasphemy was forbidden, women were not allowed on the ships, and that the men were to fast for 3 days. He also provided priests to hear their confessions and gave rosaries to every man on his armada. The morning before battle, after masses were celebrated on each vessel, Don Juan raised the banner of the cross on his flagship and addressed his men with words of valor and honor, giving them strength. As Don Juan was preparing his men, St. Pope Pius V was assembling a spiritual army of his own throughout Rome and the surrounding regions. He had public devotions conducted in honor of Our Lady and her rosary. In the evening of October 6, 1571, the day before the battle, St. Pope Pius V himself led the rosary at the Dominican convent of Santa Maria sopra Minerva in Rome. With a heavy heart and a rosary in his hand, he entrusted this heroic Christian cause to the Blessed Mother. The morning of October 7, 1571, the Christian fleet set sail in search of the Muslim fleet. Don Juan and his men did not realize they were sailing toward an advanced and highly trained Muslim fleet of more than 300 ships and 100,000 men. The Christian fleet had 285 ships and only 70,000 men, of whom most were unskilled in combat. The two forces met just south of the town of Lepanto, now Naupaktos, Greece. Unfortunately, the Christian fleet became engulfed in a thick fog and could no longer see the enemy ahead. This gave the Muslims tremendous confidence in winning the battle. To everyone's surprise, the wind on the bay suddenly shifted and began to favor the Christians, which caught both fleets completely off guard. With the wind in their favor and the fog serving now as a cloak, the Christian fleet aimed fast toward the enemy. For 5 long hours, much blood was spilled. One point during the battle, Don Juan steered his own vessel toward Ali Pasha's ship, where he commanded the Islamic forces. As soon as Don Juan boarded the deck, Ali Pasha was killed by a musket bullet to the forehead. One of the armed prisoners who had been freed from the Muslim ship cut off Ali Pasha's head and hoisted it on a pike. The banner of Allah was taken down and ripped to pieces, and the banner of Pope Pius V was raised in its place. The Turkish fleet lost more than 30,000 men, 34 Muslim admirals, and 120 galley captains were among the dead. The Christian fleet lost 7,000 men and 12 vessels. They were also able to set free nearly 15,000 Christian galley slaves. On that evening, St. Pope Pius V was in Rome in a meeting and received a vision of the battle. While in the middle of discussions in the Vatican, he suddenly broke away from his companions and stared out the window in complete ecstasy. Turning back towards them, he exclaimed, "Victory! Victory!" This vision happened more than 2 weeks before the official courier from Venice arrived in Rome with the victorious news. Europe had been saved, and St. Pope Pius V attributed the victory to the Rosary. In March of 1572, the Pope instituted the annual feast of Our Lady of Victory, directing that it be celebrated every year on October 7th, the date of the actual Battle of Lepanto.